Welcome in, everybody. This is the Baxter Street Boys. I'm your host, Cole Wilcox, joined by our producer, Griffin Rudy. Jake is on a hiatus. Sorry for the late night start. Got a lot going on, but we're here. Me and Griff are fresh off a bachelor party that went really well. A lot of things happened. We cleaned out the casino. The Dawgs win, and that team up in Knoxville lost. And, man, it was glorious. We got a lot to talk about. Let's get into it.
10, 12, he's running over people. Oh, you hurt the walking. We just stepped on their face with a hobnail boot and broke their nose. We just crushed their face.
Defense, 40, 30, they won't catch him. Go, Swift, into the end zone. Touchdown! The freshman just ran it back to Philadelphia. Throws near sideline, and it's intercepted. Intercepted, Keely Ringo at the 21. Off he goes, 40, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30, near sideline. Breaks the tackle, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, 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 Georgia.
I know I'm asking a lot, you guys, but hunker it down one more time.
Dang, I was muted. All right. Everybody. Appreciate you coming out. Griff, what's happening?
Hey, nothing, man. I got a grind this week. A grind. It's Thanksgiving break, but not for me. I got like 12 projects to do.
Been grinding too. I've been grinding too. I mean, I ain't stopped in a while, but here we are. And man, what a good weekend, Griff. We had a solid weekend, huh?
It was the best weekend. I couldn't win a bet to save my life, but it was a good weekend.
Yeah, there's always a guy in the group who turns into the fade guy on a group trip. Unfortunately, that was Griffin this week. We were in Indianapolis for my bachelor party. Had about 15 guys there, and Griff was the fade god. Unfortunately, he had a tough week. He wore it. He's a guy that can roll with the punches, and unfortunately, this week he was the guy that got hit.
Yeah, I got hit a lot, son. I got hit a lot, even at the casino, even on the blackjack table. I mean, as soon as I sit down, they roll the freaking closer out. I mean,
yeah, you got to watch when that closer comes in, man. And there was a stretch of blackjack where we sat down. It was me and about 4 other guys, and I don't know if we lost for an hour. It was unbelievable. It was the most electric blackjack table I've ever been at, and we just cleaned house. So shout out to the Indiana Casino. I own a piece. I own a stake in your franchise.
The Horseshoe? Was that what it was called?
Like the Horseshoe. Yeah, they had live horses. I was sick with that event if the horses were running.
It would have been awesome.
That would have been awesome.
We did bet on a horse race. Me and Tuck and Snell did.
Yeah. The horse.
She won too.
Horse races are electric.
She won too. Barista.
They're incredible. Listen. Georgia needs to get with the times. There needs to be casinos in Georgia. There needs to be sports betting legal. Like, come on. That's just extra income. I don't really know what the downside there is. But let's talk about the Dogs, Griff. Let's talk about the Dogs. Good week for them. A lot of people upset about the game.
Yeah, I get it.
At this point, guys, style points are just not existent for us. We don't need them. We don't have to have them. Just win the game. If we win our next 4 games super ugly, we're the national champions. So there's no reason. We don't have to do what some other teams are trying to do right now and try to put it on a good face for the committee. We are the standard right now. We will be the number 1 spot until someone knocks us off. And I don't see that happening for a little bit.
I don't see it happening this year for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Griff, I mean, that's every year for you, though.
I mean, that's fact, but I mean, that's just who I am, man. You know?
It's very hard to talk about football or talk about football with Griff sometimes because it's just, I mean, he can't even put together like a non-biased thought. He can't even begin to think about putting together a non-biased thought. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, that's just who I am. That's how my mind's wired.
I forget what question I asked the other day, and I already knew the answer. And you were the first one. And I think I said I was breaking down a hypothetical. If we blow out LSU in Atlanta and Clemson and Florida State just keeps winning, they blow out Florida this week. Who has the better win, Tennessee at LSU or Clemson at Florida State? And Griffin instantly, without even hesitation, Clemson for sure, Clemson. And I was just like, I knew it was just the most typical comment of all time.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, when you break it down, I mean, they're both 3-loss teams. I don't know. Florida State has some bad losses though, or not
Like
as
what?
good not as good losses as Tennessee, I guess.
I mean, Florida State does not have as bad of a loss as Tennessee had, but that's regardless of what.
Not a singular
Florida
loss.
State and Tennessee aren't comparable.
No,
That's in that scenario where you're comparing Florida State to LSU, but you have to wrap everything back to Tennessee.
Yeah, I do. I hate them.
You have quite the obsession with them.
No, I don't. I just really like to see them lose. Really like to see them lose.
I do. And every day Tennessee fans are in our mentions. Y'all are obsessed with Tennessee, blah, blah. I 100% am. And I'm absolutely – I will not shy away from that. If I list my favorite things in college football, number one would be seeing the Dogs win. Number two is seeing Tennessee lose. And there's not as much gap. There's not as much gap as I'd like to admit. Like there's not between 1 and 2. It's right. It's neck and neck. I get excited for the Georgia games and I get excited for Tennessee games because I pull as hard as I can for Georgia and then I pull as hard as I can against Tennessee, regardless of who they're playing. That's just how it is. That's how my Saturdays go. And I love it. I love every second of it. But yeah, college football would not be as fun for me without Tennessee losing. So it's awesome right now because they lose every year, every single year. Griff, I don't know if you saw what I tweeted earlier, but they are now excited about some bulletin board material they got for Vanderbilt this weekend.
Oh, I did see that tweet. I did. In fact, I did.
Like, what a fall. You talk about, like, less than 72 hours ago, these people were, like, booking their spot in the national championship, and now they've just completely, like, had to shift their minds in a period of 3 days. Oh, we get back on track against Vanderbilt, build momentum for next season, blah, blah, blah. There is no next season for y'all. Like, this was y'all's season. You cooked it. You cooked it. You blew it. Like, it's as simple as that. And I said it on Twitter before. Like, you can talk about your defense. You can talk about your defensive coordinator. You can talk about the play call, whatever you want to talk about. It's never going to be elite. It is never going to be an elite defense with the way y'all play football, with the style of offense that you guys play. And it's great. And y'all love it when you're scoring points and dropping 60 on Missouri. But all of a sudden, when you get a slugfest and you turn real one-dimensional and your defense they can't stop anything. Nothing. They could have put 15 people on the field and Rattler would have still tore them up. And that's what happens when they're on the field for 42 minutes a game, every single game. And then by November, they're gassed. They're dog-tired. They don't like it.
You see them out there missing tackles on every play. They're freaking tired. I mean, they're on the field.
We got some Spanish in the chat.
Yeah, we got to put this up.
Let me see if I can translate. I know Akeem. Oh, you don't think I can?
No.
Well, Akeem means here. Tarde's obviously late. I think that means soy. I think that's what he meant to put instead of SOU. So that's I am Primeiro. Obviously, Brasileiro. I would say it has something to do with Brazil. I don't know.
I am the first Brazilian here, or am I late?
Zachary says Portuguese. You were definitely the first Brazilian here.
No doubt.
Hey, was the first letter supposed to be SOY or no? Was I wrong? Maybe Portuguese is different.
Surely it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea.
Am I the first Primera Brazilian here, or am I late? I mean, yeah, Griff. I mean, I literally got the basis of that, and you were no chance. I spend 9 months of the year in a locker room where it's 60% Spanish.
Yeah, you do. I know quite a bit. That is true. That is true.
I know quite a bit more than you think. Yeah, there's $1. Let's freaking go.
I took 2 Spanish classes in college. One of my professors was Portuguese.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was a nice lady. I liked her a lot.
Good for you. All right, Georgia. You got some numbers for us?
Oh yeah. Hey.
Let's hear it.
All right. Well, I'm not going to talk about Stetson Bennett yet. Let's talk about the good stuff. Kenny Mack, 19 carries, 143 yards, averaging 7.5 yards a carry, and a tutty. I mean, dude, he played tremendous on Saturday. Kenny Mack was goated.
Yeah, he was. Kenny Mack was awesome. He's been our guy this year, really and truly. And there's been times where I wish he was on the field more. But like I said at the beginning of the year, when the ball is in Kenny Mack's hands, good things tend to happen. He can do it all. He's very versatile. He's going to be a fantasy monster here in a couple of years. Some team's going to take him. They're going to feed him out of the backfield. He's going to be a James White-esque. Like he is just like prototypical NFL back in terms of what he can do with the receiving game. He's getting better running between the tackles. I've said that from the beginning of the year. Like it seems like he improves a lot. His vision's improved. It seems like he runs tougher through there. So yeah, he deserved to get the majority of the carries in a game like this where we really needed him to rely on him. And in a game where the offensive line, I didn't think played all that well in terms of how they've been doing, which, we kind of shifted the offensive game plan, it seemed like, to really running the ball because it was freezing cold and there was high winds. And it was just like, all right, Kentucky's not going to score on us. So we just need to put some points on the board, get out of here with a win. And that's what we did. And we caught on Kenny, and he delivered in a big way.
Yeah, he did for sure. And I will say, Kendall only had 6 carries in this game. But, dude, the carries that he got, he took advantage of them. There was one when he kind of had that burst of speed that he had last week again, and it just looked really good. And if he keeps playing like that, he's going to earn a lot more carries, getting healthier, clearly.
No doubt. What else we got? Hit us with some more numbers.
Well, let's talk about Seth then. 13 for 19, 116 yards, 6.1 yards per pass, I guess is what that is, an INT. I mean, we talk about how the game plan changed. It obviously was very different than from what we've been doing all year or like typically. And so, I mean, these stat numbers, you can't really – it's when you look at the box score, if you're just, a casual, you're like, oh, man, he played terrible. And, I mean, he didn't play great, but, it was just a product of the way the game was played at that time too.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't really chalk much up to that. Obviously, you can rip up your Heisman ticket now, probably.
Yeah, probably.
That's pretty deceased.
Yeah.
I would say deceased, Griff.
It sucks. It sucks really bad.
If you're re-ranking the quarterbacks, and if you weren't here preseason, we ranked the quarterbacks, and Griffin put stat number 1 preseason. And if you recall back to that, like some might say it's still ridiculous, but the preseason going in, that was quite the leap and got some backlash. Griff, if you had to re-rank the quarterbacks right now, what would you still have stat at number 1?
Are you kidding me? Of course. He's leading the best team in the country right now. And when he has to turn it on, he does. But we just don't have to run the score up on teams. The guys that they hold so high, CJ Stroud and freaking Hendon Hooker, who just have, pad their stats at the ends of games, Stat doesn't have to do that because he's just that dog. All right. Yeah. And I mean, you got Caleb Williams. He's in a battle every week. No wonder he has good stats.
I'm not going to sit here and act like Caleb Williams isn't good. He's freaking
No, Caleb Williams is a beast.
I think Caleb Williams might be the best quarterback.
No, yeah, I actually really like Caleb Williams. But
yeah, he's a monster. He makes throws that are Sunday ready right now at a pretty consistent level. He's really good. And USC, man, like I didn't think they'd keep surviving these games, but they got a big one this weekend, obviously against Notre Dame. And I think if they win that one, they're going to beat Oregon on neutral field. I really believe that.
Yeah, I think
they might not play Oregon. Like Oregon State might. What's the line on the Oregon State-Oregon game? Do we know?
I have no idea. I can look it up though. Let me check on that.
But yeah, I really like Caleb Williams. He's pretty nasty.
Yeah, he's fun to watch for sure. CJ Stroud, I can't say the same about.
Is that bias we were talking about pre-show?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like nothing Griffin said was wrong. Don't get me wrong. Like Stet is Kirby will call off the Dogs when we're up, and that's probably how it should be. Honestly, like here's what people don't understand is coaches around the league. If you polled Josh Heupel, which I don't know about him actually, that's probably not a good example. But the way Georgia beats Tennessee and the way they beat Kentucky this weekend, where it's like, okay, we know what we need to do to win. Let's just do that and get a win. If you polled coaches and asked if they'd rather like win like Georgia won against Tennessee or be in shootouts every week, I promise you they'd rather control the game. Like that is what coaches want to do. They want to be able to dominate the games in all facets. And like the win we had against Tennessee where we just absolutely dominated the first quarter, dominated the second quarter, and then it's like, okay, well, they proved they're not going to score on us. let's not give them the ball in plus territory. Let's just run the ball. Let's just move it around. Let's punt it away, and let's control the game and win it. And we had a 9-minute drive, controlled the game, got out of there like that. That is proof of a dominant football team. I have not seen that from Ohio State. I have not seen that from Michigan. I definitely haven't seen it from TCU. It's not even close with USC. And Tennessee, I mean, wow. But
do we even get to include them in there anymore? I mean, they're ranked number 10 now. Like, do they even get mentioned anymore at this point?
No, they're toast. They're toast, and they're not going to be in the Sugar Bowl. They're not going to be in the Orange Bowl. So you blew it. Plain and simple, they blew it. They absolutely
you just blew it.
But
Oregon is -3 versus Oregon State, by the way.
Yeah, I will be slammer fisting Oregon State. Slammer fisting them. That's a free win, guys. Just
You're talking about another team who blew it. Oregon. They blew it as well.
They did blow it, and
they always do though.
I hate that. Like, I know it gets passed down, and it's all about the jersey you're wearing, but that's just you get that label, and it's tough to shake. But it's a completely different coaching staff. It's a completely different roster. Like they just lost.
Yeah,
it ain't like they blew it. Washington's pretty good.
Yeah,
Washington's a dangerous offense.
That was a hard-fought football game.
Yeah, they just lost the game, and you know, sometimes you lose. Like everybody's thought, UCLA choked before they played USC. Arizona kind of just whipped them. I mean, I didn't think UCLA played terrible, but Arizona's quarterback kind of just torched them a little bit.
Yeah,
we got way off topic here. All right, back to the Dogs. I don't even know how on earth we got there.
Yeah, I don't know.
But one thing that was of concern, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because it's been talked about at length amongst the Twitters. Our short yardage is hit or miss.
Yeah.
And, you know, we love the death march here. We've coined the death march term, and it's like a staple of the show, and it's growing on Twitter, which is awesome. I see people talk about the death march all the time, and that's sick. But in order to have a death march, we got to move some people when they know we're going to run the ball. And the fact that we got stopped on 4th and goal against Kentucky is a little bit concerning to me.
Yep, that one hurt me pretty bad too because I needed the cover. And
Griffin was quite upset at that point in time, and he was seeing a lot in the I guess that would be the debit section of the account.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that one hurt my feelings, and also just not getting in the end zone on that first drive, that one hurt my feelings too.
We needed that one for the Drake Parlizzle.
No, I needed that. I had 6.5 first quarter, but that would have helped that one too, I guess. So
yeah, it's tough. But like I said, it's what do you make of it? Anything or what?
I mean, it's definitely concerning just because. But Kentucky does have a good defense. I mean, any way you shape it up, I mean they do play well defensively always and have all year. But you know, at the end of the day, I feel like when it comes down to it, when we really need to move guys, we do. And so, I mean, we're up 16-0 in that game. Like, it's not like a live or die situation. I feel like in those situations, we always.
I don't know, Griff. Like they're always trying to score. Like it ain't like it's like, oh, you know, we're up 16-0. We don't have to score right here. Like they are calling a play to score.
Yeah.
So like what constitutes a life or death situation?
I don't know. Like when it's 4th and 1 and you're down.
It was 4th and goal.
No, but like when it's that, but you're in the situation where you're like,
no. You can't just flip a switch. Like, that's not. People think that's how it works. It's not how it works. Like if you're not getting that in these type of games, if you're not consistently winning up front, you can't just flip a switch against good teams and do it. Like that doesn't happen. People can't do that, and. Like that's why I know people try to reason with it all the time, but that's just not how it works. If you are an elite team, and if you want to be elite for a long time, you have to do the little things right all the time, and 99% of the time we do. But this team this year has shown lapses a lot, but like you said, the big games they've got up and absolutely dominated, and that's great. But you need to have that switch flipped all the time, or it's going to come and bite you. And we're just so much more talented than Kentucky. It doesn't matter. We're so much more talented than Georgia Tech. It doesn't matter. But there's a game like LSU where we should be able to just walk out there and roll over them. But if we're not doing the little things right, they are absolutely talented enough to stay with us and hang around and beat us.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. I mean, they're going to cause problems for our offensive line too. Like that's a game where your offensive linemen are going to have to be dialed in.
And I know, and I'm talking about a micro situation on 4th and goal, but that's kind of I would say the biggest concern for me to this point. Like where the offensive line, when it's clicking, is one of our best units.
Yeah.
But they have been the most roller coaster position group of any of them by far this year.
No doubt.
Like there's so many games where it seems like they've gotten whooped, especially up the middle. And it's like, okay, I understand. I've seen them play really well against good defensive lines, and that makes me feel good. But at the same time, I've seen them play pretty porously. So like, what do we think of the offensive line at this point?
I mean, I think they're really good. I mean, they're obviously really talented.
Shocker.
Yeah, but they're obviously really talented. But I mean, I don't even know what you chalk it up to be honest. Like, I really don't. Like, I mean, when you look at a game like Mizzou where they play terrible for a whole half and then just turn it on like that didn't even happen. Like,
yeah,
I don't even know how you analyze that.
I'm not sitting here saying it's a weakness of the team, but I just don't like the up and downs. Like, and I know they're human beings, and I'm an athlete myself. Like, I know you have days where you're not your best, but like it's kind of just been like it's like a flip a coin and see what the offensive line is really going to be like this game. But there's some interesting questions in the chat. So, Austin Jones says Robinson needs the majority of touches in the short yardage situations, and that's another point to bring up. So some of the short yardage issues, and then we go through a month phase where we have no issue at all getting the short yardage. Like we just plow it right in. But maybe is it just like a lack of like a truly elite running back between the tackles? Could that factor into it or not?
I don't think that's the issue. I think our running backs are good enough. I think it's pretty much interchangeable back there when it comes to short yards. I think it's just like when you watch the play and you're like, they just run into a wall. Like, I mean, what are they supposed to do? Yeah. Like, if there's no push, they have nowhere to go. Like, so
I agree. No, I agree with you. I don't think the running backs are an issue at all. Honestly, I think we got plenty good enough running backs to get 1 yard, and for the most part they do. Like we're talking about just a few situations here, like specifically, but offensive line pass blocking has been absolutely elite the entire year. It's been incredible.
Yeah.
And then at the beginning of the year, there were some times where the offensive line didn't look great in the run game. But then after the Missouri fourth quarter, it kind of flipped. And we're like, oh, we're back. We're all the way back. And then just last game against Mississippi State and then against Kentucky, it's like we're kind of back to that in between where it doesn't feel like we're getting much of a push. And then there's some good runs and there's some runs that get stuffed. So I don't know. I
mean, Kentucky, we did run the ball for 247 yards against Kentucky.
Yeah, we did.
I mean,
on how many attempts?
We averaged over 5 yards a carry total. So, I mean, like, couldn't be that bad.
Yeah.
Our offense wasn't on the field a whole lot in this game. I mean, Kentucky was on the field for a while. Like, especially in that first half, I just felt like we could not get our offense back on the field.
Well, that's one thing that Mark Stoops lost me on last year. Like, I've always respected Mark Stoops as the guy who's turned Kentucky around, and if you can win there, you can win anywhere. I was a big advocate that Nebraska should have went after him. And I still think he's a very good coach, but I lost a lot of respect for him last year when we were playing them in Sanford and we're up. I think it was 27-0, maybe.
No, it was something like that.
And he decided to call up a 9-minute drive in the fourth quarter just to try to get some points, calling timeouts inside 45 seconds. Like, he just punted the game. Like, he was not playing to win at all. Like, he was playing for a straight newspaper score, which is completely lame in my opinion. And then I'm not saying he had bad gameplay in this game because they held the ball, they drove it, they were trying to keep it out of our hands, which is what you have to do. So I just had to get that off my chest that last year was the softest thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. I guess that's the only point being made here.
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah, and then there was one more.
I think it was Thomas right here. Is this the one you're talking
about? I don't know. I think it's just kind of a statement. Like, you got to get 1 yard run up the middle. Like, I don't care who you, like, if you're a truly elite team with as much talent as we have up front and as good a running backs as we have, you should be able to get a yard going up the middle. And I think it's one of those things where Kirby's like, you're in a good situation where it's still a pretty close game. It's a tough team, a really tough team. Kentucky has a good defense. Like, I'm taking nothing away from them here. But at the same time, when you're not getting those, Kirby Smart's sitting over there saying, we got to be tough enough to get a freaking touchdown right here. And we're going to run 4 plays up the middle, and one of y'all better get a push. And it just didn't happen. And I think that's what concerns me the most.
Yeah, no, it definitely sucked to watch us freaking just get pushed back at the goal line 4 times. Like
you talk about flipping a switch, Griff. When it's 4th and goal and the offensive linemen are standing there, like that is embarrassing for them as a unit to get stopped on the goal line 4 straight times. And so if you're going to flip that switch, when you see 4th and goal, that's a good time to flip the switch.
Yeah. And I mean, do we still have like a jumbo package like we have with? I know we don't have Jordan Davis.
Carter was in.
He wasn't on that play.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't even know what you do. Like, I mean, you just got to push. You just got to win the battle.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. Even if you lose, even if you don't get a push, you should get a yard.
Yeah.
Like that's how I see it. But
just fall forward.
I understand that some people can play the gaps, but even last year, like our the best defense of all time, like people could get a yard on us. They really, really needed it. Like that happened multiple times. But that's just how it is. It's hard to stop a guy from getting 1 yard, and especially 4 straight times.
Yeah.
Borderline impossible. Especially it should be impossible for the guys that we have up front.
That's why it's so electric when it happens for teams. Like whenever you get a goal line stand, it's electric.
We're too good of a team to be stopping the goal line, is what I'm saying.
And it really did hurt. That hurt the morale of our offense from that point. I mean, we didn't do anything offensively after that for the entirety of the
Kentucky
game.
went right down the field and scored after that too.
Yeah, I know. So I mean, when you look at it that way too, it's such a momentum killer.
Yes,
like it destroys you.
Big shift. Big time shift. But speaking of the defense, let's talk about them because we should have started off the show with them. These guys have reached at a level that I did not think they'd get to this year. They're giving up something like 11 points per game. It's first in the country again. Like to replace that many guys on defense, and we've said it before, but it's worth mentioning again. Like it's quite impressive what's being done on that side of the ball.
It's so impressive. I mean, and just it feels different a little bit from what it was last year. Like in a way,
it's always going to feel different than that. Like that's once in a lifetime.
But, well, I'm just saying, just from like I don't know, the standpoint of the guys who we think are really, really good. All our guys are really, really good. But like up front last year was just, I mean, your front seven was the heart of it, you know. And this year it feels like the heart is in like our defensive backs, you know, the backside of the defense. And you got Malachi Starks, who we love, Chris Smith, who is the veteran on that side of the ball, and then you got Kamari Laster, who's come into his own this year on the outside, and Kelly Ringo. I mean, you know, and people have had a lot to say about Kelly Ringo, but
I'll tell you what. And so the Jay Brooks in the comments says it's been a long time since we had a secondary like this. There's never been a time where we had a secondary like this.
Nope.
This is the best secondary Georgia's ever had. Coming into the year, like I was worried that the fans were going to turn on whoever started opposite Kelly Ringo because people are going to target him. Like you have Keely on one side, you got a new guy starting this year. Like why throw it at Keely? You know, just pester this new guy until he proves he can stop. Well, that went on for about a week and a half, and Kamari Lassiter was just like, okay, well we can't throw on this dude. Like he's next up at Georgia. Like he is next up as what's the corner award?
I don't know.
Nate got
yeah,
all of them, but
Chris Smith's up for that this year.
Yeah,
he's a finalist for it.
Like Kamari Lassiter's
semi-finalist.
I think he's the absolute one of the best corners in the country. He's physical, man. Like he loves to hit, and he's been so impressive because like he knew coming into the year he was going to get picked on. He took that challenge to heart, and he's like, nah, like you better go back to the other side a few times because if you keep coming to me, bad stuff's going to happen. And he has been absolutely nails, and that's exactly what this defense has been missing is 2. Well, when we had Tyson and Stokes, that was pretty freaking impressive too. But there wasn't. You also then you could just move to the slot. Well, in the slot, there's Javon Bullard locking people up. There's Malachi Starks on the other side locking people up. Like there's nowhere to go. There's no mismatches, and it's fun to watch. The back end is really, really fun to watch. It's just clamps everywhere.
And you know, one of the biggest surprises for me, honestly, on this defense, looking back right now, like, you know, we thought the defensive back, like, we were going to be good in the secondary, like we really did, like we, you know, but the way that JDJ has played all year long,
Been awesome, man. Been awesome.
that has been the most pleasant surprise of the year for me on defense. I mean, he is awesome out there. Just so good.
Yes. Yeah. No, he's very Nakobe-like. Like he's just in his nose in every single play. And it feels like we've had a linebacker like that forever now. Like I just think as long as Kirby Smart said we're going to have good linebackers. It was at Bama. They had all those guys. They had the Fosters. They had all those dudes. Like he's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know if they just find really, really smart players and put them in that system and let them work. But he just has a nose for the ball. It's special. I don't know how much you can teach of that. He's physical. He's clearly the leader of the defense right now, and he's been awesome. He's been awesome.
And no, if he doesn't win the Buckus, it would be a shame. It would be robbery.
Agreed. Kid from Iowa is really good too. He's really, really good.
Yeah.
But JDJ is the best player on the best defense right now. Like, well, he's not the best player on the best defense, but he's up. He's one of the leaders. Because you're right, Griff. You're talking about the heart of the defense, saying the secondary. The heart of the defense is about 6'5", 315 pounds, and he wears number 88.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you're right.
He's incredible.
He's too good.
He's as good of a player that has ever wore a Georgia uniform. He's actually unstoppable. We put that term on people a lot, and it's not true. There's only a handful of people in the league right now that's truly unstoppable. Jalen Carter is truly unstoppable. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do.
We were really, really young whenever David Pollock was playing football for Georgia, so I don't really remember any of it. But the way people talk about him, that's kind of the way I imagine I talk about Jalen Carter. Like, the way they talked about David Pollock was was unbelievable. He just wrecked everything. And that's what Jalen Carter does.
And David Pollock would be the first person to tell you that it's not comparable to Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
In terms of size and speed and stuff. Like,
yeah.
Different level.
For
like,
sure.
Pollock was beating people. He was strong and he was fast, but that motor never stopped. Jalen Carter can take a play off and still win a rep. Like, that's how good this dude is. And Thomas says, y'all think Carter goes number one and we make history? Yeah, like, it depends. It completely depends on who picks. Like, if it's a quarterback needy team, they're going to take a quarterback. The quarterbacks are pretty solid in this draft class. Last year, they were just not good at all, so you couldn't really take one. This year, there's some people worthy of that number one pick. But if it's a team that doesn't need a quarterback, like if the Texans decide they want to roll Mills or something, yeah, I think I really, really do. I think he's the best player in college football. And coming into the year, people were saying that. Some people, and mostly Georgia fans. And even I thought, dude, like, did y'all watch Will Anderson last year? The dude's a freak. And I still think it's 1A and 1B, wherever you want to put it. I'm not going to argue with you. But, yeah, if I'm an NFL team, I'm taking Jalen Carter. He's like the Florida game. I keep talking about the Florida game because it was hilarious. It was hilarious.
He would come on the field for third down and just win the play.
Only third down, and he would be in the backfield every time. It was awesome. Like, it was like, okay, well, we're going to beat Tennessee. Like, that's all I was worried about. Like, is Jalen Carter going to be back? If he was back, there was no doubt in my mind. I was laying the points, whatever it was, because he was going to push whoever was in front of him right back into the quarterback.
And that's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did.
He's special. He is a special, special talent. We're going to miss him tremendously. Like, people said it last year, he's the best player on the defense. And I thought to myself, yeah, maybe, we'll see. They were right. He was, and he is. He's unbelievable. Shout out to Jalen Carter. You're the man. But any more points you had from this game? Any more takeaways?
I mean,
we've hit everything.
Yeah, I feel like we have too.
Receivers didn't get to do a whole lot. I mean, they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't their fault. I mean,
no.
Don Blaylock got a nice catch.
Yeah.
It was a longer one. I don't remember the exact yardage on it. It was like
it's always good to see Dom catch a ball for sure. But like I said, I'm just impressed with the team, how they're able to win. They can win however you want them to win. That's why I think they're the best team in the country. That's why I thought they were the best team in the country coming into the year. People talked about Bama. People talked about Ohio State. Yeah, Ohio State's flashy. They're great. But could they win a game like that in Kentucky? I don't think so. I don't think they can against a team like that. Bama, they had their problem. They have their problems on the O-line. They have their problems in other places. Like, I didn't see a glaring weakness on this Georgia team. There's flaws. Every team has flaws. There's no such thing as a flawless team. But they can beat you in any way, shape, or form. If you wonder, well, can they win this way? Let's look across our schedule. We've done it at some point. We've won in so many different ways this year. Kirby Smart that's how he's improved so much as a coach. That's the biggest improvement he's made is being able to win like that. Against Tennessee, when we get the ball, boom, explosive play. We get the ball, explosive play. Like used to, he wasn't doing that. Like he was trying to grind out drives, keep the ball away from them. We weren't scared of them. Mm-hmm. We were not scared to put our defense back on the field. And I feel like we got into that a little bit with Bama in the SEC championship. And the Natty, he was like, nah, screw that. Like we're going for their throat. Like that's what he does now. He is not scared to attack the team in the way that he thinks is best fit for us to win. And it shows like we can beat anyone in any way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you gotta be that is a trait you have, that it sucks to win games ugly, but you have to be able to do it.
Have to.
Yeah, when you get punched in the mouth and you're still neck and neck, like you can't let even if if it's Missouri out there and you're neck and neck with them, you're like you can't get down on it. You gotta be like, all right, we gotta prove that we're the better team. I mean,
yeah,
you can't walk away from that with a loss. I mean,
yeah.
Unless you're Tennessee.
And Missouri, Missouri was like, okay, we're kind of getting hit in the mouth, and then we got to respond. All the other games, we've been in complete control the entire time. And but it's back to my point, like, they're all so different. They're all so different. Against Florida, we sold out to stop their run. We could do anything offensively against them, and it was just like, all right, go score. We'll stop them. Against Kentucky, it was like, they're not going to drive the length of the field on us consistently. Just don't make mistakes. Just we'll score. We need to score. We'll score enough points to win the game, and we'll just play good, clean football, punt the ball away, and make them drive the length of the field on the number one defense in the country. And we knew they couldn't do it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's been a fun season for sure. Like, not every game has been just freaking electric to watch because, I mean, you had the highs of like Oregon and Tennessee. Or that Oregon-Tennessee game are two of my favorite games I've ever been to, ever watched as a Georgia fan. They were fun. So freaking awesome.
Yep.
And, it's hard when you have that to compare, especially when you start off with Oregon. After that, it's hard to compare every game to that. I mean, when you come the next week.
But what is exciting is knowing that's in the bag, and we're going to pull it out when we need it. When we feel like that's necessary, we'll do it. And we're going to have some games coming up where that is necessary. Like, you can't just walk out and punt the ball back to LSU and punt the ball back to Ohio State and Michigan and win the game. Like, you're going to have to go apply the pressure. And they know that, and we can easily do that. We've proven we can do that when we need to. So I'm excited for the games coming up. This is when the season starts for us. Like,
well, I mean, we saw
everything else is icing on the cake at this point.
We saw that last year. I mean, whenever we played Michigan in that semifinal game, there was stuff happening that I didn't know we could do. Kenny Mack threw a touchdown. When we pulled that one out of the bag, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, Monken's bag is just being released a little bit at a time. That's what's so exciting about having such a modern play caller like him. And listen, the regular season at this point in our fandom as Georgia fans is just okay. Let's see what team we have for the playoff. Like, that's it. And it doesn't suck at all. Like, it does not suck at all. It takes a lot of excitement out of the regular season because it's like you're excited. My excitement right now comes from other people, like seeing Tennessee lose, because that's just awesome. And there was some games mixed in that was very exciting, but it's just kind of like, all right, let's see what we got. Like, let's just win these games, win them, and let's get to the big dance. And that's awesome. We're in such an unbelievable spot, and it's finally coming up. We have one more tune-up game against the absolute scrubs of Georgia Tech.
The nerds.
And then the real season starts. As Georgia, we're coming in, or a top 3 team preseason. We don't rebuild, unlike the team in Tuscaloosa, and we expect to be back. And we will be back this year, regardless of what happens anytime. And let's go. Like, it's time to lock in, time to go, and I'm super excited for it. But
yeah, I can't wait.
Want to thank everybody for coming out. Again, sorry for the late night, but listen, you guys are grinders. Just
wait,
like us.
Before we go, let's dance on Tennessee's grave for a second, just for a minute. I mean,
empty the tank, Griff. Go ahead.
We've called Spencer Rattler many things on this podcast.
Jake specifically.
Jake specifically.
Patrick Mahomes.
All-timer.
Yeah, that's
all-timer. And what he did to Tennessee on Saturday, it should be illegal. He absolutely dropped his balls in their mouth for 4 quarters. Shane Beamer didn't call off the Dogs. He did
as
not.
he shouldn't. As he shouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, last week, Tennessee called a timeout with 2 minutes left on Missouri to score another touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shane Beamer scored another touchdown with 2 minutes left.
Full circle.
He sure did. And I bet that just felt so good for Shane Beamer.
Well, these guys aren't robots to start. These guys are not robots. They saw Tennessee make fun of that meme of him, giving the fist pump when they're down like 30 to Tennessee last year. All offseason, all year this year, they just didn't let it go. I don't know what their problem is with Shane Beamer. They always like to act like South Carolina is some outlier. Clearly, they look at them as a rivalry because they talked about it all year long.
Yeah.
So for him, you knew he had that in the back of his mind, and he was ready to torch them. Like, that was awesome. And that's a program-changing win for South Carolina. When you have a chance to embarrass a top 5 team, do it. Like, don't let up. Freaking do it. And there was recruits there to see that. Like, South Carolina was rocking. That was awesome. I don't want to just sit here and just absolutely beat my chest, but I did say that would be the biggest game of the SEC East this year because I knew we'd win all of ours. So that was going to be for, like, which program on the rise was going to take that next step. Well, I mean – like South Carolina, like next year, who's going to be the better team?
I mean, South Carolina, I think. I mean, I don't know about. I mean, it's hard to say that Joe Milton is going to lead Tennessee to a bunch of wins next year. That's hard for me to say from what I've seen from him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, who is going to be the better? It's a toss-up, and when the team just beat the other team by 30, it's like, oh well, maybe South Carolina is going to be second in the East next year. But like, regardless, it was just. The best part of the whole day was the fact that Tennessee watched those noon games and were just on their high horse giddy because this is how just unrealistic they are. Oh, TCU's not a playoff team. They suck. Look at this. Michigan's not a playoff team, blah, blah. That's what happens when you don't win the games on your schedule. You have to start talking about other teams and worrying, thinking maybe your tweet of you trashing TCU is going to resonate to the committee somehow. Number one, let me tell you, it doesn't. Number two, just win your freaking games. So you spent all day dancing on these teams who won their games. TCU won their game against Baylor, a tough game on the road. You went to South Carolina, a team that Baylor would probably mollywop, and got beat by 30. So that was an all-time look from them, just embarrassing stuff. Like, that is an embarrassing loss. That's the best part of it. Like, when we lost to South Carolina in 19, it was an embarrassing loss, but it was like, okay, we're going to beat everybody else, Like, we're still going to be whatever. We did end up losing. No, we went to SC championship that year. Like it,
we lost.
It was like whatever. It was just like a kick to the nuts. That ruined their season completely. Yeah. They had to beat Vanderbilt, South Carolina, and Missouri to probably go to the playoffs at this point, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. It's embarrassing. Hilarious.
It's awesome.
They should be ashamed to show their face after all the stuff that they said. I commented to a ton of people on Twitter because I just couldn't hear it. I'll call them out. Zach Reagan, some Tennessee writer, just the most arrogant dude on Twitter, possibly. He deserves to eat crow. The Houston, or what's his name? What did I tell you his name was? It Rucker, Wes Rucker. He claims he's not a Tennessee fan. He's a beat writer for Tennessee 247. The dude's an absolute clown. He deserved to get roasted. So yeah,
dude,
all that.
I was on TikTok yesterday. And I was scrolling through TikTok, on our TikTok. So it's Tennessee stuff pops up sometimes because we interact with them so much, I guess. And there was this TikTok with, the beat drop and everything of Spencer Rattler getting hammered by a Tennessee guy. I was like, no. Yeah, there's no way they're posting highlights from that game.
I'm just glad after this week we can stop talking about this team and their fan base. They don't deserve our time of day. It's fun to talk about them because they get so mad and it's so freaking they're so insecure and they want to be good so bad and they're so arrogant for no reason. I don't even want to give them the time of day, so it's nice that they're back in their hole.
The worst part about that video though was he had the comments off and he had the duets off, so you couldn't reply to it because he knew he was going to get roasted. I mean, that's just so soft.
He said, "Man, what was that guy who trolled us weekly, Marion?" There's so many in our comments. I don't even know. Listen, the Voldemort guy, he's a good guy. Griffin doesn't like him, but he's legit good troll. He's legit good troll, and that's what I respect. And you can tell when someone's witty and someone's just trying to get a rise, and it's funny. Like, it's legitimately funny. The Rucker dude, the Reagan dude, the Austin Vols dude, those guys are arrogant, and they deserve everything that's coming to them. Like, they do not know football at all.
Eric Ainge.
Eric Ainge. I'll go ahead and call them out. Like, they said some of the most outlandish things I've ever seen. A lot of stuff that I say is completely troll purpose. I believe a lot of it, but some of it's just funny. Like, as I know Ohio State fans will be there as soon as I tweet anything about them. So it is funny, and that's why I respect Baltimore, because he tweets outlandish things, but it's a clear troll, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But some of those guys, man, they're legitimately hurt. Like, they stayed in bed all day the last 2 days. I guarantee it. And I love that thought. It literally fires me up. I don't need coffee this week, because all I have to do is think about freaking Zach Reagans and Austin Vols just miserable in their freaking 9 to 5 this week.
They had the deactivate Twitter page pulled up. They were ready to just let go of it.
No doubt. But we've been here long enough, Griff. Let's let these fine folks go to bed. I need to go to bed myself. But listen, the dog season's about to start. Like, that's just how it is. That's where we're at this point. And I'm excited. There's going to be a lot of good ball. We're about to really bring the energy on this pod. You need to be following us on Twitter and TikTok. Griff's been slacking on TikTok. He'd be the first to admit it. Wouldn't you, Griff?
Yeah, I would. I posted 2 today, though.
Good. We're back. Today. We're back on TikTok. We've had some momentum. We're going to keep it rolling. Listen, guys, it's about to get dicey. We're going to need your help. I promise LSU fans, they're a different breed. We know that. We might be facing USC in the playoffs. That would be nuts.
I don't know what that's going to look like, to be honest.
We're going to need the help. I think they're a little deranged. And if we play Ohio State, my gosh, put on your hard hats, boys.
I hope it comes to it.
It's going to be a war zone, and we will lead you guys into battle. Just help us out. But appreciate you guys. Go Dogs. Have a freaking great week. Wear that G proud on your chest. Never play the Michigan card I'm seeing right now. Oh, we might lose to Ohio State, but I'll be happy with the way this team battled. Shut the heck up. We're going to win every game. Argue with anyone who says otherwise. BS. We're the top dog. Be the top dog. Freaking act like the top dog. Have a good week. Go Dogs.